All right, I think we're live, right? I'll just wait a little bit. I see there are a few people watching already. Let me know if you can hear me. It's been a while since I streamed, so I have no idea if the audio is all right. I think the video is good. Oh, hey Toon. Leuk dat je er ook bij bent. Hi Yoni. It's been a while, yes. I'm really glad to be back to streaming. So the last time I streamed, I think was about a year ago. I think. So it's been way too long, and I want to try to be consistent with it. So I'll try to stream once every 2 weeks on Thursday. I think I'll manage that. I should be able to manage that. So if you're here, let me know if you're here. Let me know if everything's sounding okay, and then we can just get started. Hi, Wendy. Okay, audio's good. Okay, cool. So today I felt like let's just start with a simple sketch to get back into streaming. It's very beginner friendly. I'll just draw a little foal on this Strathmore toned tan paper. And I'm going to be using some graphite to sketch. And then I also love to work with micron black fine liners and then a white jelly roll pen. So I really like the effect you get with pens on this toned paper. It's really good to practice contrast. And of course, we're also going to be sketching the foal's anatomy, which is also really fun to draw. I love drawing horses. So feel free to work along. If you have any material with you, you can work on white paper with graphite or charcoal or even black and white paints. So you can work with anything you like. Oh, I hope you're all fine. Welcome, everybody. Totally forgot to do a nice intro. So I'm really glad you could make it today. Mm, I think there is a little bit of an error with the video, so I hope it keeps working. We'll see. Oh, Bernadette's first live. So I'll just look at the comments when I work. So if you have any questions, you can ask them along the way. I'll just keep an eye on it. The size I'm working on is 16 by 12 inches, which is 30 by 40 centimeters, but you can work smaller if you want to. And then I also have this Faber-Castell color grip sharpener, which I really like. I'll probably not use it so much, but I really like it. And this kneaded eraser. So you can see the reference on screen, and in the description you can find a link to the reference on Unsplash if you want to download it. Oh, Marie's first live too. Welcome. I hope you'll enjoy. So I hope to finish this sketch within an hour or so, maybe a little bit longer, and then I can always do some Q&A afterwards. It will not be a too long of a stream. Okay, so then let's get started. So I have the B graphite pencil from Faber-Castell. And what I first want to do is just mark out where I want to place this little foal. So he is lying down on the grass. I don't want to make it too small because then you can't see it, but I won't fill up the whole paper either, so it will be placed somewhere in the center of the paper. So then I just want to mark where I want the edge of the front legs to be on the ground. So you can just place some markings. So you're going to be sure that the drawing is not too big for the paper. I hope you can see that. And then the butt area, I want to end somewhere right here. I'm going to be trying to sketch quite heavy so you can see it, but usually don't press too much because then you won't be able to erase anymore. Okay, so this will be the length of the body, and then the head will be somewhere right here, but that doesn't really matter. So I always like to place some markings on the edges. Yeah, it's gonna be fun, Wendy. I'm really looking forward to be streaming again. I used to really like it, but then I just totally got out of it and didn't make time for it anymore. But I really enjoy streaming. Okay, so there are going to be some Dutch comments in the comments, so I will try to answer in both Dutch and English. I hope I can manage that. If anything important is said in Dutch, I will translate it. Okay, so did I go to school for realism? No, I did not. I went to art school for about 2 months and I really hated it, so I quit pretty quickly. Um, and I've always loved realism as a kid, so I had a book from an artist named Rien Poortvliet. That's a Dutch artist. He did a lot of horses, and I've always really enjoyed watching or looking at his drawings. So that's how I got to realism. Okay, so we have the head. I have marked the top of the head right here, so I know I want to place it somewhere right here. So from there, we can draw a diagonal line, and that will be the nose or the angle of the face. So you can see the face is angled down. So let's place in this little line. I usually would do this super lightly, but I'm going to be pressing a bit more so you can see it. So now we have a start for the sketch and a start for the head. And you can see how the head is attached to the body very nicely, actually. You can see the neck going down in a vertical, like that. And then the jaw is going back to the nose, also slightly horizontally, like this. Actually, I think my sketch is going to be larger, but that's okay. And then you can just attach both lines in a circle like this, and then we have a start for the head. So it doesn't need to be perfect. I like to work fast when I sketch. Just try to set up a base for the whole body quickly and then look at it and see what I can adjust. I try to not stay with one little area for too long. Oh, thank you, Mystic Edits. Glad you could join. Okay, so here we have the base of the head. Then the ears are placed on the same vertical line as the jaw here at the bottom. So the ears will be coming out right here at the vertical, and you can try to sketch in just the basic shape of the ear, like this nice leaf shape at the top, this pointy top. But that also doesn't need to be perfect right away. Okay, so I'm going to fill in the details on the head later, make adjustments on the head later as well. First, let's just continue right away with the neck. So let's make the forehead a little bit more round at the top. And then we can continue the same line from the forehead and go down in this nice angle. I place in all these little lines, so I don't draw one straight line down, but all little lines, and then I guide the pencil, adjusting the lines each time. So, okay. So there we have a start of the neck. And you can see that the bottom of the neck, as we go into the shoulder right here, is actually not much lower than the nose area. So it's pretty much on the same line. I can see already that I do have to make my nose a little bit more vertical and maybe a bit shorter. So I can already adjust that. So I tried to do the starting point quite quickly, and then I can start adjusting based on my starting point. Okay, let's look at the neck again. But for now, that looks good. He has a pretty thick neck, quite heavy, muscular, so we can see a little bit of a fold in the neck here at the jaw area, but the neck actually comes pretty straight down from the jawline that we also drew and go down. Hi Beverly from Oregon, USA. Cool. So I always have to figure out which time is the best to stream, as I'm here in the Netherlands, which is probably 6 hours later, I feel, compared to the USA. All right, so we have the neck now. I think I have to thicken it. A little bit thicker neck at the base. I keep all my wrong lines there, so I'm not going to erase anything. But now I feel it's time to move on to the body. So here we have the shoulder. The shoulder is not very prominent, but that's right here, and actually the shoulder blade goes pretty horizontally as he's lying down. So here we have the shoulder blade. You can also see it, the shadow below the muscles right here. So I'm also sketching those in a little bit. So this is a very muscular area. Okay, so let's take the front of the shoulders down. So the neck area is pretty short. There's not a lot of distance between this jaw area and then the star of the shoulder right here. So it's just a little bump like that. And then you can see both shoulders. So here we have the front one and then the other one that's sticking out from the other side. Okay, so I think the connection is good again. It was weird for a little bit, but it doesn't show an error anymore, so that's good. Okay, and then what I taught myself to do is compare the size of the head to the size of the shoulder. So usually the head fits exactly into the shoulder. It differs a little bit per horse, but you can kind of use that as a way to measure if the head is not too large or too small. So I feel like my head is a little bit too large, but for now it's okay. I'm going to adjust that later. Okay, so let's continue the body then. So he's lying. You can see this center line of the back. So you can see this dark line that some horses have, which goes a little bit up and then down over the butt area. So let's do that first as a guideline. Then the hind legs you can't see because they're hidden. You can see this little butt area from the other side popping up. So try to look very closely at the reference photo, make quick strokes. It doesn't need to be perfect right now. So that's a little bit of hind area for now, it's good enough. And then we have to decide where he's placed in the grass. The line should be a little higher up, so right here, I'm going to place this line. Maybe even a little bit higher. Okay. And then you can also see a bit of the tail popping out here. So I'm just doing these squiggly lines, draw it down into the grass. So doing quick sketches like these are very nice to practice observing an animal and observe the anatomy. Okay, we see a little bit of the belly line right here. So this is where we have belly, and there's a lot of shadow here, which I'll fill in with the pen later. There's also a lot of shadow behind the elbow area right here. And then let's draw in the front legs, which are the trickiest, I feel. They're going straight forward, but we do have to place in the right joints. So we have the shoulder right here, the shoulder blade. Here we have the shoulder. Then the elbow is actually placed right here. And then part of the front leg is hidden in the grass, but you can see it popping out a bit. I'm going to ignore the grass for now and just draw in the leg. So here we have a joint. So this can bend right here, front leg coming straight out. And then here we have a joint. You can always map out these dots, these joints, and then draw the leg around it. Then front leg is going down quite a little bit. And then we have another joint right here. Then the hoof is attached to that. So draw this knee around the joint. Foals have these big joints. And then the leg is slimming down towards the edge or towards the end. And then the hoof is placed in the grass. You can't really see it, so let's ignore the hoof for now. So be quick with this. You can always adjust later. And now I can see if I'm correct with the placement of the leg. So I'm going to try to find a way to measure. So I can see that this front leg is right below the placement of the snout, which is kind of okay. Still feel like my head is too large, so I'm going to make the head smaller now. Bring the nose down a little bit more, and then it should be good. Like that. The forehead is quite big and the snout is quite small. Hoi Michelle. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to look at the sketch again. I also try to look at it from a distance when I can, because then you can see better if everything's looking correct. And still keep the wrong lines there. Don't erase anything. If you erase the wrong lines already before you're done, there's a big chance you're just going over the same wrong lines again. So that's why I leave them. Okay, so then we have another front leg popping up from the other side. So here you can also place in the dots and the lines if you want to. So there's a joint right here. And then the leg is coming down more. And then the hoof is hidden behind the other one. And then you can draw around. You can exaggerate a little bit with the size of the knees. They are quite big bumps. And then going down. I'm pretty curious to know how many people are actually drawing along. The live stream will just stay on the channel, so if you want to do it again later, you can, or watch now and draw later. Okay, so I think I like that. I'm going to look at the elbow area a bit more closely. draw in some extra guidelines. So you can also see a bit of muscle in the neck. There are a lot of quite heavy muscles going through the center of the neck and then here in front, attaching to the jaw. I've no idea what all these muscles are called. The hind area is all just dark. We're going to shade that later. So if you're happy with the sketch, you can start erasing all the lines that you don't want. So I think I'm going to do that now, and then we move on to filling in more of the details in the face. I should have zoomed in a little bit more, I feel, on the paper. I hope you can all see it. Okay, so I'm just taking the kneaded eraser and I'm going to carefully erase all the wrong lines. One to three rock fans drawing along. Charcoal. I don't know what fine charcoal is. Sounds fun. Okay, so let's remove all these guidelines and the markings on the side. The neckline. So now I'm also going to lighten up the sketch as a whole because I'm going over with pen later, so I don't need the sketch to be so heavy at the moment. Okay, remove all these dots. Oh, cool. It's so interesting to sketch horses from life. I feel that's even more educational than drawing them from photos, so that's really good actually to practice that. Okay. Lighten all of this up. So you can see that my sketch is quite small compared to the paper size, but it's large enough to do enough detail. It's just a rough sketch. Okay, I think I'm going to try to zoom in on the horse now. So let's move to the computer for a little bit. I'll be back in a few seconds. Okay, I think this might be a little bit better to see now. Okay, erase the heaviest lines even more. Then we can move on to some detailing. All right, so back to the face now. Let's also move away this lamp. Okay, so I'm going to start at the forehead again. And now I'm going to look at the full more detailed. So I'm just using my basic rough sketch as a guide. And now I'm going to look more at the curves in the face and the shape of the muzzle. So we have this jaw line right here and the mouth area right here. He has a very small mouth and he's smiling a bit. So I'm going to try to recreate that without him looking too animated. And then we have the chin. He's hanging a little bit below the top lip. So just take some time to study the shapes. Take some time for that. You can draw in any muscles or any lines you see in the face. And also the nostril. It's usually a bit of an almond shape, but you can't see it so clearly because he has a very white muzzle. There's not a lot of dark there. So you can see the nostril. Okay, then the eye is quite large actually. It's placed more towards the top of the head. It does need to be at on the same line as the nose. If you draw a line parallel to the line of the nose, the head, the eye needs to be somewhere right here. So I'm just marking that out quickly first. And then we have this nice almond shape. And this is still a rough sketch, so it doesn't need to be perfect. And then you have a little bit of space between the eye and the ear, but there's more space between the eye and the nose. And then we can look at the ear again and draw it in for real now. Made it a bit too large at the start, so I'm going to make it a bit smaller. It's nice. It's kind of a triangle shape with a point at the top, and you can see this line in the center. It's coming forward a bit. And you can't see the other ear, it's hidden. but I think I'm just going to draw in the other ear because it looks weird with one ear. So I'm going to make the other ear just pop from behind like that, and then give that a bit of shadow. And then there's also shadow behind this front ear. You can see this dark patch. You can just make that a bit darker. Then there's no forelock, so the forehead is just bald, but he does have a nice white patch down the face, so we can draw that in too. So let's try to imitate that marking on the face. So it goes from the forehead down and then it becomes larger underneath the eye. I'm drawing it in pretty heavy just because you can't see it on camera otherwise. And then the whole nose area is all just white. And this will be really fun to fill in with the white jelly roll. You can make the eye a bit darker. Fill that in a bit. That we're going to do with a pen later on. And then the neckline doesn't need to change a whole lot, but we do see the mane, which are going up and kind of like in this curvy way. So I'm going to draw all these nice hairs clumping together, going up from the neck and curving over towards the right. So I can be messy with this because it looks cute. Oh yeah, the nostril is definitely a hard part. They're so personal as well, depending on the horse. Okay, so this is just the base for the mane. We're going to fill those in with the pen later. Make them nice and dark. We can see a shadow running down the edge of the neck. I can do some shading with the graphite already. Going down to the shoulder. Now we're just going to do some basic shading to the most important muscles. So I see a bit of shading on the center of the neck as well. So I'm just placing all these little lines next to each other. We see a dark area right behind the jaw, and then onto the front of the neck. The whole bottom area of the face, the jawline, is all a little bit darker as well. So right now it still looks very light. So it will really come to life with the pens. And if you're working in charcoal, you can slowly build up towards the more heavy dark shading. Okay, let's work down towards the chest area. There's a little bit of shading on the chest as well. Okay, and then I'm going to work on the shoulder area a little bit, and definitely this dark shoulder below the shoulder blade on the body right here. I don't really mind about the direction of the strokes, I just scribble in a little bit. I'm going to be blending this out later before I start with the pen, so don't worry about the direction. It doesn't look very neat either. And there's a whole dark shadow here behind the elbow as well. Okay, and then we need to get a bit of this rounded shape of the belly in there. We don't want it to look flat, so I'm going to draw around the belly, draw around the bottom of the belly as well, make that darker. I'm going to ignore the grass. I'll draw the grass with the pens later. And then we have this super dark shadow over the whole butt behind area. And then the tail is even darker. So I have just this B pencil, so I can't go too dark with it. So I'm just going to add a bit more pressure to the tail area to make that slightly darker. Not going to worry about any fur texture. We do see a little bit of this texture right here on the edge between the belly and the pelvis area. Scribble in a bit of texture. And then I need to look at this back a bit more as well. Put a bit more work in the part of the back that's coming from behind the other side. Let's shape that a bit better. I'm going to look more closely at the photo now. So we see two bumps. Erase the wrong lines. Place in some shadow. Okay. All right, looking good. Moving on to the front legs. Place in some muscle. So on the front leg, the upper arm, you can see this super dark line. Muscle. And the bottom line of the leg is also super dark, so we're definitely going to darken it up with a pen, but I already make a start with the B, just so we can really see the bottom line of the leg. Okay. I have no idea what Psenki is, or Pai Senki? I have no idea what that is. What language is that? Okay, and then the hoof we can't really see. And then the other knee popping out from the other side. Look at that shape. Shape it a little bit better. And it's all pretty dark. Contrast is super important. That's going to really make the drawing come alive, adding the contrast. So look at shapes. So where do you see the dark shapes and where do you see light shapes? The light shapes we're going to ignore and just look at the dark shapes for now. Okay. All right, so let's go back to the nose now. One final time. I see some dark on the mouth line and the chin, and then a little spot of light on the lip, which is nice to put in. And then I'm darkening up the whole chin area. Looking nice. Ah, dyed Easter eggs. Ah, right. Okay, so now I understand. What language is that? So, yeah, my favorite horse-related movie is definitely Spirit as well. I watched it a lot as a kid, and I definitely try to um, recreate the same style of drawing. I do have some spirit-related sketches on my Instagram from a long time ago, but I think it's a really well-made movie. I don't know any other horse movies actually. Okay, so let's look at the sketch one more time, see if I missed any areas. Ah, Ukrainian. Okay, cool. All right. So I think I did fill in the darkest shadows now. I do want to do a light shade over the whole body, very lightly. So I'm going to fill in the area around the white spot on the face. So the white spot I'm going to leave open. And I make sure that the whole horse has a light shade of gray to it, because I do want it to stand out from the paper. So I'm just holding the pencil very close to the end to make sure that there's not so much pressure on it. Changing the direction of the pencil creates some life in the sketch. And then I feel it's time to move on to the pen, which is my favorite part. Maybe the legs a little bit more shading as well. Remove any final wrong lines. Almost an hour in already, that goes fast. Okay, and then I take my finger and slightly smudge out the lines a bit. Smooth everything. Okay, so now you can decide what to do based on the material you're working with. So if you can go darker, you can go darker now, just like I'm using the black pen. You can even use markers. So I have this micron pen. This is number 08. So it's about medium thickness. And with this, I'm going around the outlines and darken up all the dark parts of the drawing. I'm not going to go around the face area, the nose, because I want to make that light. So first I'm going in for the dark parts. And this will make a big difference in the drawing. It's also good for learning to get a steady hand, looking at the details a bit more as well. And I'm going to start cross-hatching. So we see this dark shadow on the neck right behind the ear. and I'm definitely going to put that in. So I'm going to crosshatch, make these nice diagonal lines close to each other to create this dark surface. And like this, I'm going to work all around the drawing. So I'm definitely going to darken up the eye. Nice almond shape first. Fill up the center. Then you can see a bit of the eyelids. Still going to work quickly. Don't worry about it too much. We definitely want to darken up the jaw area. And I'm also going to draw some little hairs coming down from the jaw so that it's not a super straight line, but he does have a little bit of a beard. We have the mouth line, which is also dark. The front of the snout and the nostril. And then I continue to crosshatch. If I want to create a slightly lighter surface, I place the lines further apart. The closer you put them together, the darker an area is going to look. Ah, black Prismacolors. Yes, you can also use those. The nerves will go away if you practice more with the pens. It's really good for learning to control your hand. I'm going to definitely darken up these mane. Darken up the tip of the mane. Like this. Make the hairs go in all kinds of directions. It doesn't need to be super neat. And then attach some of the lines to the neckline. I always find sketching very relaxing. It's way more relaxing than working with pastels or colored pencil, I find. Next time I'll be working in pastels, which is going to be fun as well. Okay, so I want the tips of the mane to be super dark, so I'm going over them again. All right. So now the drawing is really going to show up on camera. Which is nice. We get some lighting in there now. Let's keep working towards the back area, which is also quite dark. So we have this center line over the back, which I'm darkening up as well, but I'm not going to press so much. Make it darker at the tip right here. And then I do want to go around the outlines. And then draw the other side. So now I see that the whole hind area, the belly area, can be darkened up a whole lot. So I'm going to crosshatch over the hind area. First going in one way, following the shapes that I see. Still ignoring the grass. Then look at some of these dark shapes, textures, where the pelvis starts. Just quick motions, make it look nice and natural. Then you can also, if you want to make the hind area darker, just crosshatch the other way. Play around a little bit with the direction of strokes. Oh, and the tail needs to be super dark, so I'm going to fill that in. Just solid black, actually. Maybe a little bit lighter at the tips of the hairs. Okay, so that looks nice and dark now. I like that. So we do want that darkness in because that brings a lot of shade, depth and lighting to the drawing. So don't be afraid to go really dark on this hind section of the body. And then the whole belly area is pretty light, so I'm going to the shoulder blade area now. Mark in the shadow below the shoulder blade right here. Scribbling up and down. And then this large shadow behind the elbow. Maybe place a little bit of shading around it, so around the belly area like this. Putting some more roundness in the body as well. All right. So now I'm getting back to the front side of the body. So I just like to jump around a little bit. I do see this dark line along the edge of the neck muscle. Bit of shadow above the shoulder blade area as well on the neck in the center. So I'm now shading in some slightly lighter shadows. So for that, I'm releasing pressure, hardly any pressure. And then I'm also going to do just a little bit of shading on the chest. But the whole chest area is pretty light actually, so it doesn't need super dark parts. Alright, and then getting towards the front legs. So parts of the legs are hidden in grass, so I'm only going to shade the areas that stick out above the grass. So we have a bit of leg here, the knee super dark at the bottom, and then a little bit of the lower half as well. Super dark shadow right here around the joint of the knee. This is a very important shadow to put in. Then the whole upper area of the leg is basically hidden in grass. Not going to do too much to that. Let's outline the top line. Go around the knee. Look at the shapes of the legs. They are really nice and chunky, but also pretty elegant looking. And then the other leg, I actually want to highlight. So I think I'm not going to outline the top line of the neck, this leg, but I am going to shade right above this front leg in the front. It's a very good explanation. So we do want to separate both legs. So I make sure that I put quite some shading in between them. And then I can highlight the tops of both of the legs, make them catch some light later. Okay. All right. Okay, so these are all the darkest shadows. Let's see if I missed anything. I can do some more subtle shading if I want to. Holding the pen a little bit more diagonal on the paper, or horizontal actually. Releasing pressure. This way I can do some slightly lighter shading. Maybe on the belly area as well. Now I'm going to follow the roundness of the body. And shade a bit. Basically following the roundness of the rib cage here. Okay. A little bit more shading on the neck. Though the neck is very much in light. Basically the whole neck. Bit more shading on the forehead, carefully around that dark or that light patch. That's going to make a big difference when I put that in. All right. So if you're using charcoal, you can maybe for the grass use an eraser to erase in some of these little grasses. I'm just going to put pen on top. I'm going to do that now before I move on to the highlighting. And so we see most of these grasses are quite light. What I'm going to is make some little grasses, just make them overlap the body. I'm going to do this super quick. Like that. Just make it a nice illustrative picture. I hope that's the right word. Do a bit of dark grass behind the body to also create some shadow there. Make the grass go in all kinds of directions. Quick flicking motions. All right. Make some grass overlap the hoofs in front. Okay, so that's the start for the grass. Now we can see he's lying in grass. Now the white pen will bring a lot more life into the drawing, so let's move on to that right away. So I love using the Sakura Jelly Roll pen, 08 again, so same thickness as the Micron pen, but it doesn't really matter. I just like to use 08. So I always like to test it out on my hand first. So if you don't work with pen, if you're working with graphite or charcoal, you can erase. If you want to highlight that way, you can also darken up the background and then do the highlights with an eraser, so then the highlights will actually stand out. You can just be creative with it. So with the pen, I'm going to super solidly fill this marking on the face because it looks very bright white. I'm going to follow the nose line and draw in the shape of it. If you have any questions, let me know. If it's going too fast, you can always come back to it later and watch again, or then you can also pause if you want to. So let's fill this in. I love working with the white pen on the Strathmore. It always works so well. Going around the nostril. I don't want to go into the black too much with the white. A little bit of white on the bottom lip for a nice touch. And just like with the black pen, you can also release pressure a bit with the white and place lines a little further apart to create slightly less bright shading. Okay, so that looks nice. This is the only super white area on the horse. So this is the brightest part. Now we can do other highlights as well, but I do want to make sure that those aren't as bright as this nose area. So I'm going to be a little bit more careful with placing the white now. So maybe highlight the tip of the ear a bit, so like that. Um, the edge of the neck is also quite light. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Um, how did I start with the pencil sketch? So yeah, I started with just a normal graphite pencil, B. So I set up the sketch with the graphite first, did some adjustments, and then I went over with the black pen. And now the white pen is one of the final steps. But you could always try to set up the sketch with pen or ink right away. That's really good practice. But just to be sure that the proportions are correct, I do like to start with a pencil sketch first. Okay, so I'm going to look at all the light parts on the body. I see the front of the shoulder is a bit highlighted. And the top of the shoulder area. So now I'm going into my cross hatching again. Placing these lines next to each other, you can see that the white is not very prominent this way. Thanks, Michelle. Glad you like it. You can always add a little bit of a highlight in the eye if the eye looks a little bit dead. So let's add that. Just a little dot of light in the eye. And then let's move on. So the back, the top of the back, bit of light as well. The upper half of the body catches the most light. Um, Michelle says, I've been trying to do more work without a grid or transfer, but maybe I should focus more on sketching like this for practice. What do you think is the best way to grow quickly as an artist? So I do like to observe other artists to see what they are doing. When it comes to sketching, I really like looking at Aaron Blaze's live streams. He's a really, really good artist. I really like his sketching techniques. He does this a lot as well with pen on this toned paper. I actually kind of stole this way of sketching from him. So I like observing other artists, and also quick sketches is a really good way. So the better you can observe and sketch correct proportions, the better you will get at coloring and shading as well. So I do like to do these types of sketches now and then in between larger works because you'll learn a lot from it, even when you just take 20 minutes or so to do a sketch like this. Okay, so I'm definitely going to highlight along the top of this, the both legs actually. Make sure these pop out from the paper. Okay, that's one. And now I can very nicely highlight the top of the other one as well. And then bring that white inwards a bit to make sure it's not just a line. Thank you, Claire. Yes, I really learned a lot from Aaron Blaze. Alright, so I don't want to overdo it with the white because then it will take away, I feel, from the effects. I think this is already very nice. When it comes to the contrast, it's very much alive now compared to when it was just the graphite sketch. It was very flat then. But now it has a lot of nice texture in it, so I don't want to do too much to it anymore. I do want to put a little bit more detail in the grass with the white. So we see all these nice little flowers, just tiny flowers, and I can put them, like dot them on top of the body and just do some white lines as well to recreate some of the grass. It doesn't go that well on top of the black, but it's doable. I don't put too much pressure on the pen. And then do these nice little flowers. Scribble those in. Hi, Eddie. Am I saying that right? I'm not sure. Oh, if you haven't liked the video yet, please like it. Put a thumbs up because it really helps. My channel has been going kind of bad lately, so definitely like the channel or the video if you want. And if you've drawn along, you can always show me on Instagram. So it's the same name as my YouTube channel, just my name. You can find it. Don't want to overdo it with the grass either. Mm. Okay, so I do want to go back to the pen and maybe add some more grass with the black. Oh, Edie. Okay. I get it. Put a bit more grass below the horse's legs. Meanwhile, the cat is meowing outside of my door. So I really want to make sure that the body is kind of disappearing in the grass. That it's not just stuck on top of the grass. I want it to be in there. So I'm going to take a bit more shadow, take it down. And then I think I'm just going to call it finished. I don't want it to be too perfect looking. Bit more shadow behind the body. So when you compare the drawing to the photo, it's definitely not the same. It's not 100% correct, maybe. I think my foal is a bit more upright and the neck is a bit longer, but as a whole, it does feel complete. So it's not really a problem if the proportions are slightly different. Okay, so I think that's it for my FOAL. Let's place the signature somewhere. Let's do it right here. Yeah, definitely. It's artistic license. You don't have to copy photos exactly. All right. Maybe a little bit more shading on the jaw area. Thanks, guys. So if you have any more questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up soon because we're already 1.5 hours in. The next stream will be in 2 weeks on Thursday again at the same time. So next time I will be drawing with pastels and it will be a more photorealistic drawing. I'm not sure if I'll be able to complete it in one stream. Otherwise, I'm going to take 2 streams for it. So you can already see that one planned on my channel. You can already find the reference photo as well. Okay. Um, do you ever have a hard time knowing when the drawing is done and stopping from overdoing it? Well, yeah, I do like to work on my drawings for a long time, but usually when I get bored of it, it's a good sign to stop. So at this stage, when I look at it, I feel like it's complete and it's balanced. It's not super detailed, but it's not necessary either. So now I would stop. Otherwise, it's just going to maybe, I think, take away from the effects. So I'm going to stop now. I really like this drawing. It's nice. I do have more of these in this sketchbook. I think this is a good one. Let me know if you like these types of drawings. So they are pretty easy for me to do in a live stream. So maybe I can do more of them, more different animals as well. Michelle says, how do we find the, what's peer? Do you mean paper? I'm not sure. Okay. Maybe I can show some of the other drawings in here before we wrap up. So this is the paper, by the way. It's Strathmore Tone 10. I would definitely recommend it. It's a really great universal paper for a lot of different media. So I was basically going for kind of the same effects as this one. And I think it turned out really well. Oh, the piece of art. Um, okay, so on my channel you can see at live, I think, with at live streams or at the plan section, you can find the next live stream, which will be a kingfisher. And in the description, you can find a reference photo. And then I'll be working with pastel pencils on pastel mats, Stabilo pastel pencils. And I'll start with the line art or the sketch already down. So for the next live stream, you have to make sure that the sketch is down already before we start if you want to draw along. I can't speak anymore, I'm getting tired. Here we've got some cats, another horsey, which didn't turn out very well because I drew the legs too short, unfortunately. I like this one though, this lion. I think we'll end with the lion here. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm getting tired and the cat needs attention. Oh, um, thanks, Kimberly. Would also be nice if you could do some quick sketches of an animal in different positions. Oh yeah, that's a good one as well. I'll I'll keep that in mind. I really like these sketches. I will do more of them. Okay, so thank you all so much for joining. If you have drawn along, you can show me on Facebook or Instagram. Definitely tag me. It's just my name, Leontine van Vliet, and I'd love to see. And if you're a member of my drawing club membership, you can also show in our Facebook group. So on the membership, I do loads of these different lessons. I have a course on there on drawing dogs and cats. Also loads of different colored pencil and pastel tutorials, which are way more advanced and elaborate than these ones. But I have tons of tutorials on there. So that's on my website. If you're interested, you can follow the link to my website and look at the Drawing Club membership if you want to join. And then I will see you in the next stream, which will be in 2 weeks. Okay, so thank you all so much for joining, and I'll catch you next time.